Never told. Job's darkest hour in the Bible, a bone-chilling test of faith. At midnight the clock struck midnight, its echo reverberating through the darkened halls like the tolling of a grim bell. In that eerie moment, Job's world shattered. A whisper of dread slithered through the shadows, wrapping around him like a suffocating shroud. How could the man known for his unwavering faith be facing a trial that even the bravest of souls would shun? With every misfortune, the very heavens seemed to conspire against him. Livestock lost, children taken, and now the bitterest blow of all, a disease so ugly it writhed beneath his skin. In the faint glow of an oil lamp, Job's hands trembled as he touched the painful sores infesting his body, each one reminding him of his painstaking descent from a life of riches to abject despair. Every throb pulsed through his being, a reminder that his entire existence had been stripped away. How could God allow this? The silence of the stars outside felt like judgment, cold and unyielding. But it wasn't just his suffering. Whispers rippled through the townsfolk like wildfire. He must have sinned, they murmured. Look how the Almighty has forsaken him. They watched from a distance, eyes wide with a mix of horror and curiosity, judging him with every agonizing gasp he took. His friends, once loyal, now stood apart, unsure of how to confront the darkness that surrounded him. They were supposed to offer comfort, yet their own fear paralyzed them. As Job sank deeper into despair, visions of his former life danced before his eyes, children laughing, prosperity overflowing. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught his attention. A shadow darted across the edge of the dusk. Job squinted, heart racing. Where there should have been no one, a figure loomed, cloaked in darkness. It felt towards him, a silhouette shrouded in mystery. Was it an angel? Or something far more sinister? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Job strained to discern the face hidden beneath the hood, uncertainty boiling in his chest. Was this an answer to his prayers, or a harbinger of more suffering? The air crackled with intensity, as he felt the weight of existence pressing down. The weight of everyone's expectations mixed with his own tormented soul. As he opened his mouth to cry for mercy, the figure took a step closer, and the world seemed to hold its breath. What could possibly happen next? The figure halted just inches from him, and Job could barely breathe. The dark cloak shrouded everything except for a pair of piercing eyes that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. Was this being here to offer comfort, or to deliver some final, devastating blow? Job, the voice resonated, deep and echoing, as if spoken from the depths of the earth itself. Your faith has been tested, but the time has come to reveal the truth. Truth? Job's heart raced at the word. What truth could possibly justify this torment? With every word spilling from the figure's lips, tremors of anticipation and dread coursed through him. The townsfolk's dismissive whispers echoed in his head. Was he really being punished? Had he done something so vile, so unthinkable, that even the heavens conspired to break him? I have seen your trials, the figure continued, its voice softening. Seen your tears at the loss and your cries for understanding. But what God has planned is beyond your comprehension. Job felt his pulse quicken. He wanted answers, not cryptic riddles. Why? Why this pain? What have I done to deserve it? Please tell me. His voice cracked with desperation, the agony of his soul laid bare. The figure stepped even closer, the air thick with something explosive and energy that pulsed between them. You think your afflictions are punishment. But what if this is merely the beginning? What if your suffering is a path to something greater? The darkness is a veil, Job, hiding the light that is yet to come. Job's mind struggled to fathom the meaning. A path? Light? How could anything good arise from such sorrow? He thought of his children, lost to the void, and the agony he felt with every breath. Was there any light left for him in this torment? Suddenly, the shadow extended a hand calloused and strong. Will you dare to grasp it? Will you venture into the void where the light hides? Job's heart thundered in his chest. Could he trust this being? Could he take whatever it represented into his heart? He hesitated, feeling the weight of every soul in the village that judged him, the burden of their expectations and fears woven tightly into his being. The choice blurred before him, each second stretching into eternity. In that charged silence, memories resurfaced. The warmth of laughter around the dinner table, the joy of seeing his children grow. Yet he also clung to the despair that engulfed him now, like a storm threatening to consume everything. He fought against the despair, clinging to the remnants of faith he still held on to. I will follow, he finally declared, his voice stronger, fueled by a pathetic flicker of determination. Show me the way. The figure's lips curled into an unsettling smile, revealing a glimpse of teeth sharp and glinting in the dim light. As Job extended his hand, darkness enveloped him. The moment their hands met, a surge of power coursed through him, a flash of visions, memories, and strange, unfathomable secrets. Job gasped as a deep chill ran down his spine, like the whisper of death brushing against his skin, and then everything shifted. The world around him fractured into shards of light and shadow, colliding in a tumultuous dance. He was no longer just Job, the man who suffered. He was bound to something vast and terrifying, and just then, as reality crumbled and rebirthed something new, a sudden scream pierced through the darkness. Was it his voice? Or the echoes of those who once adored him? Before he could grasp the implication, all went black. The final thread of certainty snapped in that void of silence. What awaited him beyond the darkness? What new trials and revelations loomed in the shadow of his fate? Job awoke in a landscape entirely alien to him. The air crackled with a strange electricity that set his skin on edge. It was dusk, yet the sky radiated with a peculiar glow, swirling shades of maroon and violet mixing in a cosmic display of ominous beauty. He rose slowly, confusion wrapping around his mind like fog. He felt different. No longer burdened by the weight of his familial losses, a curious energy pulsed within him. But along with it came a deeper unease, a gnawing fear that he'd lost more than just his loved ones. Job, the voice again, echoing like a haunting lullaby, drifted through the thick air. Job spun around, heart racing, eyes scanning the impossible horizon. The cloaked figure stood far off, silhouetted against the radiant light. Now, it looked less like an omen and more like a guardian, though its intentions remained obscured. Come closer, it beckoned, extending its claw-like fingers. It seemed almost welcoming. Job resisted the urge to take a step back. Where am I? What is this place? Shadows danced around him, twisting like phantoms weaving in and out of reality. He felt unmoored, like a wayward soul lost in a storm. This is the threshold, the realm of truths, the figure's voice resonated, soothing yet stark. Beyond lies your journey and the darkness that binds it. His heart pounded. What darkness? The question escaped before he could swallow it back. In every heart there resides pain, Job. To find the light, you must first face your own shadows, the figure explained, its eyes glinting with a knowing intensity that unsettled him. Face my shadows? Job echoed, confusion spilling over into alarm. How can I confront what I want to forget? I've already lost so much. The loss is only the beginning of understanding. You must ask yourself, are you ready to unearth the truth buried beneath pain? The figure moved closer, shrouded in billowing darkness, promising yet foreboding. Job's breath quickened. Digging deeper into his anguish felt like clawing at an open wound, yet he sensed that without this reckoning, the path out of despair would remain forever blocked. I'm ready, he spoke uncertainly, the grip of fear twisting in his stomach. But how? In the shadows of memory, where the heart's most terrible grief resides, the figure gestured, illuminating the ground where golden paths emerged from the gloom. Walk the path and confront what it is you fear the most. With every ounce of courage, Job stepped onto the path illuminated by flickering lights that danced like fireflies against the darkness. But as he ventured forth, memories began to swirl around him, a whirlpool of laughter, joy, and unbearable loss. He glimpsed his children, their faces joyful and unburdened, only to have them twist into reflections of anguish, cries of despair echoing around him. "Don't leave me!" a small voice cried, and Job stumbled as the haunting visage of his youngest child flickered in and out of existence. "No!" he yelled, clutching at his chest. "Stay with me!" The figure materialized beside him, its shimmering presence intermixing with shadows. "If you wish to save them, you must face the weight of their loss." Job felt his heart thrumming against his ribs, shuddering under the pressure of memories piercing through him like daggers. "But what if I can't? What if I fall apart?" "That is the risk, Job. But to be reborn often requires a descent into overwhelming darkness." His resolve wavered, yet his longing to find peace pushed him forward. He took a deep breath, feeling the terror wash over him. Somehow, he understood this was his reckoning, the moment that would force him to confront every buried fear, every scream he had silenced within. With each step into his past, reality twisted, and the crowd of shadows grew around him. Would he find the strength to face what lay buried in his memory? Or was this journey to bring him to the breaking point? As the light flickered, surrounding voices turned into whispers, looming just out of reach. "Job, reclaim your heart before darkness takes you," and then, sharper than a blade, he felt the weight of choice press upon him. Would he stand and fight for the light, or allow the shadows to swallow him whole? Job took another step forward, heart racing, mind swirling. The air thickened with whispers, voices darting like lightning in a storm, each one beckoning him to listen, to remember. Shadows skittered at the corners of his vision, pulling him deeper into the nightmarish recesses of his being. "Face the truth, Job," the cloaked figure murmured, its presence soothing yet sinister. "You are not alone in your suffering." With a deep breath, he pressed on and was startled by a sudden flash of light. A vibrant scene sprang to life, surrounding him like a vivid dream. He stood in his children's room, toys scattered across the floor, laughter echoing around him as they ran in wild circles. "Daddy! Look!" they shouted in unison, their voices pure and untainted. Joy swept over him, but it was tainted with longing. The moment twisted, colors dimmed, and the laughter morphed into cries. Shattered glass replaced the innocence in their eyes. How did it come to this? No, no! Job felt his insides knot, helpless against the surge of memories. The swirling images crashed over him like waves, dragging him under. How could he bear this haunting evolution from joy to despair? The pain threatened to drown him, and he gasped for breath, watching as the darkness crept closer. "Remember," the figure's voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. "Only by acknowledging their absence can you comprehend love's permanence." Job squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block out the clamor. Yet, the visions grew more intense. He saw the faces of his children bathed in fear and confusion, their small hands reaching out for him, desperate for his protection. "Daddy! Please!" they screamed, voices filled with uncertainty and need. His heart shattered like glass in his chest. "I lost you," Job's voice trembled, cracking against the weight of his admission. "I couldn't protect you in that instant." The shadows morphed around him, winding like serpents, whispering his guilt, his failures, his regrets. Every moment lost replayed, the birthday parties missed, the bedtime stories unshared, the laughter that faded into silence. Each one a dagger, piercing through the armor he wore to shield himself from the truth. "Job, take the pain. Only then will you see their light," the figure urged, its eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. "Are you asking me to suffer more?" Job shouted, incredulous. "Haven't I already paid enough?" The figure stepped closer, and the shadows receded just slightly, revealing glimmers of warmth. "Pain is a part of love," it whispered gently. "Embrace it. Stand tall under its weight, the light awaits on the other side." He felt torn between two worlds, one steeped in agony and guilt, the other filled with love and light. Which path would lead him to redemption? Could he truly survive facing the devastation that had become his life? Job clenched his fists, tension radiating through his limbs. What choice did he have? The longing for his children's laughter, for closure, to reclaim love, it wrestled against the fear of facing the truth of their loss. In this haunted space, fear mingled with the alchemy of courage. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. "I will remember," he declared, words full of grit. "I will face this darkness." The air crackled with energy, shadows recoiling at his resolve. The cloaked figure nodded, acknowledgment shimmering in its gaze. "Step into your truth, Job. The shadows will recede, and the light will guide you." The darkness roared in protest, swirling violently like an angry tide. But Job stood firm, heart thundering. As he moved ahead, each step felt like a small victory against the crushing grief. Then, suddenly, a chilling laughter pierced through the suffocating silence. It echoed around him, monstrous and unreal. "You think you can escape this, Job? You know nothing of the darkness that awaits." Job froze, pulse racing. What was he inviting forth in his quest for truth? And as the shadows writhed and the laughter intensified, he couldn't shake the chilling feeling that something more sinister lurked below the surface. What awaited him in this abyss of memories? Would he find healing, or would the darkness engulf him, punishing him for his audacity to hope? With doubt creeping in, Job took a step into the swirling blackness, knowing he had no choice but to confront what waited on the other side. The moment felt inevitable, a reckoning drawing nearer, poised to change everything he thought he knew. Would he ever emerge again, or would this night be his last stand against the shadows? The shadows danced, dark and twisted, and Job felt their grip tightening around him. The laughter morphed into a low growl, echoing in his ears. "You think you understand loss, Job? You've barely scratched the surface." Fear gnawed at his insides. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, desperate for clarity amid the chaos. The cloaked figure remained silent, blending into the darkness, but the swirling shadows pulsed with a life of their own, exuding a malevolent energy that made Job's skin crawl. "I've come to embrace the pain," he said, clenching his fists, unwilling to let fear crush him now. "Show me what I need to see." Suddenly, the darkness convulsed, swirling like a storm unleashed. Job braced himself as a new wave of memories crashed around him. He found himself standing in a dilapidated room, the air thick with despair. His children's laughter was gone, replaced by the chilling howls of sorrow. "Look at what you've lost," urged the figure, its voice soft but heavy with inevitability. Images flickered before him, scenes he buried deep within his mind. He saw himself with his children, their faces illuminated by the joy of Christmas morning. The tree stood tall, the room a mess of wrapping paper and toys. But then the colors faded, the sounds morphed into echoes of argument, the radiance dimmed to darkness. "No!" Job shook his head, tears stinging his eyes. "We were happy. Were you? Or was it all a facade?" the figure asked. "Your happiness was built on fragile foundations made of unspoken fears and untold truths." Every accusation struck like a blow, each memory unraveling the threadbare illusion he had clung to. Shame washed over him as he remembered his self-imposed isolation, the nights lost in despair while his children longed for his presence. "Face it, Job. You can't escape the truth by drowning in your sorrow," it urged, stepping closer until Job could feel its breath, cold and unsettling. "You've hidden from this for too long." In the midst of his turmoil, a new scene emerged, a faint glimmer in the dense fog. Job saw a glimpse of his son, clutching a tattered teddy bear, eyes wide with anxiety. "Daddy, where are you?" His heart twisted. Didn't he realize?" "Open your eyes, Job. They needed you." The figure hissed, sorrow mixed with fury, illuminating the path forward. With every whispered truth, shards of guilt embedded themselves deeper. Each misstep replayed, pulling him further into the vortex of his past. Yet, amidst the pain, the flicker of a stubborn hope tugged at him. If he faced this, could he transform the grief into something powerful? "Your journey hasn't ended, it's just beginning." The cloaked figure stepped back, revealing a pathway wavering through the darkness, an invitation to move forward. Job hesitated, conflicted between the agony of facing his failures and the desperate need for redemption. He could feel the weight of love countering his fears, like a flickering flame in the dark ready to illuminate the way. Take a step, the figure encouraged. Embrace the pain and let it guide you. With a sudden rush of determination, Job stepped into the light. The shadows hissed, recoiling from his movement, as if fearing his bravery. But then, a chilling whisper swept through the air, stopping him in his tracks. "Where do you think you're going, Job?" It was that laughter again, deep and haunting, echoing through the darkness. "You still have so much to lose." What lay ahead? Would the truth he sought burn away the nightmares or ignite them into a blaze of grief? As he pressed on, shadows swarmed once more, ready to unveil the haunting legacy of those he loved. And amidst the encroaching darkness, a terrifying question loomed: what hidden truths would he discover, and would they fortify him or leave him utterly shattered? Determined yet terrified, Job forged ahead, heart racing, the weight of the unknown pushing him deeper into the abyss. It was time to confront the darkness that awaited him, but could he survive the revelations lying in wait? Job stepped through the wavering pathway, the air heavy with a potent mix of dread and anticipation. The shadows shrank back as if recognizing the shift in his resolve, but their whispers slithered through the darkness, trying to tug him back to despair. "You think you've found courage? You don't even know what you're up against," they hissed, curling around him like cold fingers. His heart pounded, each beat a reminder of what he sought to reclaim. "Show me," he demanded, his voice steady despite the tremors in his body. "Show me the truth." The cloaked figure reappeared, its face obscured but its presence undeniably commanding. "Very well, Job," it said, lifting a hand to reveal a swirling vortex of images around them, scenes of joy, heartache, and betrayal flashing in vibrant bursts. "This is your past. Are you ready to see it all?" With a deep breath, he nodded, diving headfirst into the torrent. Suddenly, he was back at the neighborhood park, bright and sunny, but the laughter sounded foreign, mingled with muffled cries. There, beneath a swaying tree, a woman was kneeling, arms wrapped around her knees, face hidden in her hands. "Mom?" he whispered, the word catching in his throat. He stepped closer, desperate to comfort her. "What's wrong?" But she remained absorbed in her grief, unseeing, and her sobs pierced through him like shards of glass. The scene shifted again, flowing seamlessly into his memories of failure, his wife's growing resentment, the coldness that seeped into their once warm home. "Useless," she had said, her voice blending with the shadows, heavy with accusation. "You do nothing but wallow in your own grief." Job staggered back, a raw ache clawing at his insides. "That's not fair," he protested. Yet deep down, he felt it, an undeniable truth he had tried to bury. Was he truly so lost? Suddenly, he found himself in his son's room, toys littered across the floor, remnants of innocence. The flickering light revealed a small figure trembling by the window, a child too young to understand the bitterness that had sullied their lives. "Why are you sad, Daddy?" the boy asked, innocent eyes wide with confusion. "I miss you." "No." Job's voice broke, desperation spilling over. "I didn't mean for things to be this way." The cloaked figure stood behind him, voice dripping with disdain. "You have always meant to choose yourself over them. Now they suffer the consequences. You see, Job, this is your reality, the truths you've ignored." He fell to his knees, horror gripping him. "What can I do?" The question sounded foreign, almost pleading. "Face them. Grieve for what you've lost," the figure urged. "Then perhaps, only then, can you find hope." Job lifted his gaze, tears streaming down his cheeks, feeling the weight of his failures crushing him. It was terrifying to think there was still more to bear. Yet a flicker of defiance sparked within him. "I refuse to let them drown in my shadows." As he crawled through memory after memory, a pattern emerged. Each vision uncovered layers of accountability, moments where he had shut everyone out, missteps woven into the fabric of their lives. Clenching his fists, he felt the truth resonate, an echo of pain transforming into strength. "No more running," he murmured. "I choose to confront it all." But even as he declared this, the shadows tightened again, clawing at his resolve. "You want to confront the past? Beware the price of reckoning," echoed a voice from the depths. "What if the truth reveals something far worse than you imagined?" John's heart trembled. Could the darkness truly reveal everything? Was he prepared for the horrors yet to come? With each churn of the memory, uncertainty clawed sharper than any shadow. As he grasped the edges of this desperate truth, the shadows moved once more. Would they stretch his resolve, or would they snap it entirely? He took a deep breath and barreled forward into the void, ready to confront whatever awaited on the other side. Job plunged deeper into the void, his heart racing with a mix of anticipation and dread. The shadows coiled tighter around him, their whispers now unrecognizable, a cacophony of accusations and regrets. He pressed forward, determined to illuminate the dark corners of his past but unsure of what truths awaited him. Suddenly, the scene morphed again, and he found himself standing in a dimly lit room filled with the musty scent of old books. He recognized it immediately, his father's study. Dark mahogany furniture loomed over him like sentinels watching a reluctant heir. Job's eyes fell on a flickering candle, its flame dancing nervously in the still air. "There's nothing you can hide from me, Job," a voice echoed, the tone sharp and biting. Job spun around, his father's silhouette casting a long shadow across the floor. "Why did you leave us?" Job's voice wavered, heavy with grief. "You acted like I didn't exist." His father's figure stepped closer, their eyes locking. "I left to save you from my failures, not to abandon you. Your mother's tears weren't meant for you." Job recoiled at the truth in that, a visceral pain striking him like a fist to the gut. He had lived in the shadow of his father's mistakes, always asking for forgiveness while never receiving it. "Then why didn't you fight for me?" he shouted, frustration boiling over. "You just walked away." The air thickened, and the shadows began to writhe, threatening to suffocate him, just as his father had. "You think you can confront me now? You haven't even begun to confront yourself." A piercing chill swept through the room, and Job felt himself slipping, drifting further into a memory that wasn't finished with him. The air began to swirl, tightening around his throat like a noose. In a heartbeat, he was elsewhere, standing once again at the playground, the laughter and joy starkly contrasting the heavy sorrow that enveloped him. Children swung joyfully, tossing balls and chasing one another beneath a vibrant sky. But just a few yards away, a young mother stood alone, her face pale and hollow. Job's heart sank as he recognized her. It was his wife before the final blow of their marriage shattered everything. "Come on, honey! Let us go home," she called out, but her smile barely touched her eyes. The laughter fell silent, replaced by an ominous stillness that wrapped around Job like a fog. "Are you happy?" he whispered, stepping closer through the swirling haze. The young woman hung her head, her shoulders trembling. "I tried to be, but I lost hope the day you withdrew." Again, the shadows surged forward, curling around her as if determined to pull her back into the darkness. "You see, Job?" The cloaked figure's voice rasped, resurfacing from the depths, slick with malice. "You pushed her into despair. Every time you ignored her pain, you let her slip further away. You filled her life with shadows." "No!" he screamed, but the shadows would not relent. They clawed at him, pulling at his very essence. Each breath tasted bitter with regret. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." A deafening silence answered a void filled with unspoken truths and unrealized potential. Job felt a burning weight in his chest, a suffocating mixture of despair and rage. The cloaked figure stood nearby, laughing cruelly. "You wanted to confront everything. Now you see the cost of your choices. Are you ready to pay it?" In that moment, Job realized the true depth of his failures. Each connection he had severed, each moment he had chosen to retreat instead of fight, only served to deepen the shadows around him. He felt both small and monumental, a single wave crashing against the shore of his reality. "What if confronting it all reveals even more than I bargained for?" he breathed, a sense of foreboding creeping into the pit of his stomach. "Only one way to find out," the figure replied, eyes glinting with sadistic glee. "Step boldly into the darkness, and you may summon the light or lose everything forever." Job inhaled sharply, knowing he had to push through, to stand face to face with the truth, no matter the cost. 1. terrifying thought echoed in his mind as the shadows loomed ever closer. Was he truly ready for the reckoning that lay ahead? Would he have the strength to bear it? With each heartbeat, he stepped closer to the abyss, pulled by a force beyond his control. All he could do was plunge forward, hungry for redemption, yet terrified of what he might uncover about himself. Job's heart pounded louder as he lurched forward into the depths of the darkness, feeling an urgency that pulled him further from the warmth of the flickering candle. It flickered behind him like a dying star, its light offering little comfort. Shadows darted around him, hungry for his essence, taunting him with whispers of guilt and sorrow. "Face it, Job," the cloaked figure hissed. "What are you afraid of finding?" With each step deeper into the darkness, memories rushed in, suffocating him. A memory of his son's crying filled his mind, the sound like needles beneath his skin. "Daddy, don't leave me!" echoed through the void, reverberating painfully within him. Job clenched his fists, but it did nothing to block the onslaught of regret smashing against him. As he stumbled forward, he found himself on a barren road, lined with ghosts of times past. Neighborhood kids played without a care, while at the far end, a figure stood, his son, small and vulnerable, searching the horizon for a glimpse of his father. Job's chest tightened. The innocence in the boy's eyes was a stark reminder of what he had failed to protect. "Look at him!" The malevolent voice coiled around him, thick with disdain. "How many times did you leave him? To drown in your sorrow while blaming the world?" "No!" Job shouted, desperation surging. But his voice was swallowed by the shadows that conspired against him. He reached out toward his son, recognizing the tentacles of regret pulling at his own heart. "I'm here. I'm right here." But with every step, the distance between them grew, the space stretching like an interminable chasm. "Why didn't you fight for him? Just like your father, didn't he fight for you?" The figure seethed, its eyes gleaming with a terrible satisfaction. Images flashed before him, a missed birthday party, a neglected soccer game, moments when he had been absent, choosing isolation over connection. Each moment was a dagger, twisting deeper into his conscience. The truth sank in, heavier than lead. He had traded his children's laughter for his own shadows. "Can't you see?" the figure taunted. "You are the monster!" "No!" Job yelled, shaking, choking on the bitterness that filled his throat. I tried to make it right." "Did you?" The figure laughed, a cruel sound that echoed like mocking chimes in the dark. "You only replaced one ghost with another." The ground beneath him trembled, shifting as if responding to his turmoil. A grotesque scene unfolded before him, a desolate landscape, littered with the broken remnants of his choices. Each broken toy, each discarded promise formed a graveyard of his failures. An icy wind swept through, and suddenly, the scene morphed again. He stood now in his old living room, but everything was wrong. The walls were cracked, paint peeling as if the place itself mourned the love that once filled it. Before him, a spectral figure stood, his wife, eyes hollow and empty. "Job, will you ever see?" she asked, her voice a haunting wind that raked across his heart. "You clung to your pain, leaving us to wither." "Please! I didn't mean to," Job said, his voice trembling, pleading for understanding. "Tell that to the ghosts you've created as a result of your selfishness," she whispered. "Every choice has a consequence." As she faded like mist, the shadows closed in tighter, leaving him gasping. "I need to find the light," he shouted, desperation bleeding through his words. But the shadows hissed. "What if there is none?" He pressed forward against the encroaching darkness, determined to uncover what lay ahead, to find the truth buried beneath the weight of his mistakes. He knew he was close, but at what cost? Suddenly, a flicker of hope reached him, an ember buried beneath the pain, a realization that strength often lies in vulnerability. Could that vulnerable path be the way out? With a reluctant breath, he prepared himself to confront the most terrifying truth of all. What if the only way to save himself was to expose the deepest wounds, the very things he had hidden from? Job could feel the ground beneath him shift once more as he took another step forward, a question lingering in the shadows: what would be revealed if he finally broke? Job stepped into the deepening shadows, the air thickening with despair and tension. Every footfall echoed like a hollow drumbeat, matching the frantic pace of his heart. The cloaked figure loomed nearby, twisting and shifting, always just out of reach, a puppet master in a play of nightmares. "Do you really think vulnerability will save you?" It scoffed, voice slithering like smoke around him. "It will only expose you to more pain." But Job felt a flicker of defiance amid the dread. Could this be the route he needed to take? Each step grew heavier as new memories clawed at the edges of his consciousness, fights, arguments, all the words left unsaid. Each of those fragments wrapped around him like chains, pulling him deeper into the abyss. His throat constricted around a lump of anguish. He found himself in another place, a once vibrant park, now an echo of a lost paradise. Laughter once danced through the air, but now only silence hung heavy. Grass blades wilted beneath ominous skies. Job's heart sank further, as he spotted familiar faces: his wife, his son, even his little girl, all frozen in moments of joy he had abandoned. "Daddy?" His daughter's voice drifted through the air, achingly sweet yet tinged with loss. "Why didn't you save us?" "No. I didn't know. I didn't know how." Job gasped, reaching toward them, desperation clawing at his insides. But it was no use. They remained just out of reach, their eyes sad and pleading as they faded into the shadows of memory, leaving him in a desolate void. "See?" the figure cackled, feeding off his despair. "You can't run from the past. You are forever tethered to your failures." Shoving down a surge of terror, Job wrestled with the urge to scream. Instead, he turned inward, searching for the flicker of hope he had felt moments before. Even in the thickening darkness, he saw it, a fragile light, far down the path like a star in a moonless night. "What is that?" he whispered, an ember of curiosity sparking in his chest. The cloaked figure recoiled, its form morphing into a tempest of rage. "Don't you dare reach for it!" it shrieked, hands outstretched as if to grab back that increasing glimmer. Job's breath quickened, staunch determination flooding his veins. "I have to try," he shouted, knowing this light might be his only chance to unravel the demons that haunted him. As he sprinted toward the growing brilliance, the shadows clawed at his ankles, cold and grasping. With every step, Job could feel the weight of guilt and shame pressing against him, threatening to topple him. But the light beckoned, whispering promises of understanding and redemption. Just as he was about to break through the veil of darkness, the figure lunged, grabbing him by the collar, its grip icy and unyielding. "You will never experience freedom!" It seethed, venom dripping from its words. In that split second, anger ignited inside him. "No! You can't hold me back anymore!" With a surge of strength, Job tore free, plunging forward into the light, fully aware that this might lead to his salvation or his ultimate downfall. Could he finally expose the scars beneath his armor? And the last remnants of darkness clawed at him, whispering sinister lies, but he held tight to the light, heart pounding. What lay ahead? Was it freedom or yet another trap? Job inhaled deeply, bracing himself for whatever awaited just beyond the veil, knowing that the answer was about to reveal itself. Would he find peace, or would he succumb to the shadows once more? As the light enveloped him, a sudden flicker caught his eye, a glimpse of truth he had never fathomed. Job burst into the light, a brilliant glow washing over him as he tumbled out of the void. It enveloped him like a warm embrace, chasing away the shadows that had haunted him for so long. The sudden brightness made him squint as he lay sprawled on a grassy hill, the laughter of children echoing in the air around him. For a moment, everything felt perfectly normal, as if he had been transported back in time. "Daddy? Look!" A child's voice rang out, and Job bolted upright, his heart racing. There they were, his children, gleefully running toward him. He wanted to cry out, "I'm here!" but the words stuck in his throat. They approached, their faces radiant, untouched by grief or loss, and in that moment, he could feel the tension in his heart begin to unravel. But as they got closer, their faces visibly morphed. What had been cheerful smiles twisted into expressions filled with confusion and pain. "Why did you let us go?" they chorused, the haunting echoes constricting around him like a vice. Job's heart shattered all over again. "I didn't know how to save you. I can't change the past," he cried, grasping at the threads of their fleeting forms, desperate to hold on to the joy that had slipped through his fingers. "Open your heart." The commanding voice of the cloaked figure resonated, now looming behind him. "Look beyond the hurt. Embrace every piece of this pain." Job turned to face the shadows once more, the realization crashing over him like a tidal wave. He had lived in avoidance, drowning in guilt, while his true strength lay in embracing his vulnerability. He had shut down, locked himself away while his loved ones needed him the most. "In grief, I shielded myself. But in that, I failed to protect you." Job's voice trembled, the truth igniting an ember of hope within him. "I'll no longer hide from the pain. I choose to carry it." As he spoke those words, the light expanded, battling the shadows in a fierce clash of brilliance and darkness. The cloaked figure, eyes blazing, recoiled. "No! You cannot transcend the grief and emerge whole." Job's heart pounded as he felt the light seep into every crack of his soul, illuminating the shadows that had once consumed him. Grief was not just a burden, it was a testament to the love he had for his children. "I honor your memory," he shouted into the void, willing that love to guide him. "I choose to confront every tear, every moment, to heal." Suddenly, the world shifted again, and the children were beside him, their faces full of light and compassion. They fluttered like butterflies, whispers of encouragement swirling around him. "You're finally here, Daddy. You're choosing us." The shadows retreated, muttering and swirling, powerless against the love that now surged through Job. He felt a profound sense of connection, understanding rippling through him like a soothing balm. "I see you," he breathed, tears pouring down his cheeks, but now they were tears of release. "I'm here, and I'll always be here." As they embraced, the brightness expanded until it enveloped the entire landscape. The heaviness lifted. Job felt liberated, his heart unchained from the past. In every line of laughter and every touch, he reclaimed his children, their spirits forever held within him. Rising to his feet, Job gazed at the horizon, feeling the warmth of the sunlight wrap around him like a promise. He had faced the darkness and emerged anew. The shadows still existed, but now they were a part of him, not an anchor. He understood that though suffering might touch every soul, love's light would guide the way through the fiercest storms. With renewed determination, Job walked down the grassy hill, ready to create a new reality. A reality where he lived fully, honoring both the memories of those he lost and the love that would always remain. And with that, the lingering echoes of grief transformed into a symphony of joy in his heart, guiding him forward to a vibrant new chapter. If you felt the intensity of Job's journey, you need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories that ignite the spirit. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to help us hit the algorithm, and keep bringing you compelling content. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this powerful conclusion. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting ending. Don't wait even one more second.